Welcome to Answers from the Universe and the Andronicus transmissions on Wolf Spirit Radio, Ever Beyond Radio, and Studio 9 Jam on YouTube. With your host, Jessica Ariel Morocco, featuring JP as the voice of Andronicus. Please visit www.readingsbyrael.com, that's A-R-A-E-L.
From the future, by way of the past, I bought my ticket for the 15th century. We started moving through a hole in history.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio. Go ahead.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are doing a pre-recorded show, although sort of live, on Never Beyond right now. But I'm going to be away for two weeks, and I just wanted to leave you with something. So many things keep on coming up, and I thought I should probably document and write it down and share with you. And we have a new character who I believe represents the ancient Picts, or the Pictish people. Is that the right way to say it, JP?
I think so. Pictish is, that's how they say it here. And as I said, here in northern Scotland, there are ancient Pictish forts that are found. And there's not much to them. I mean, like, they're really old, and sometimes they're just like a lump in the ground, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, with these transmissions. I'm not from the UK. I'm not an extensive historian or anything of that nature. I do have an understanding of history. I do understand the different people that, had different names, the different tribes, but not fully knowledgeable, on my own. Other than these transmissions have amazingly revealed some things that kind of delve into history of different places, or some of the unexplained or unknown. One of them being High Brazil, which to me was quite a surprise, and the connection with Rhodan and High Brazil, and also seeing High Brazil dimensionally, not actually coming and visited me on a few occasions. So here again is another incident, a rare incident for me, that I'm going through and I'm helping someone, and I discover this civilization related to the Pictish people, who are, they're off-world. I will say they're in a parallel of this world, and travelers in that way, which might explain a lot about their elusive, hard-to-explain civilization that sort of appears and reappears and disappears. So I thought, that we're gonna get into that in a little bit, and after that we're going to be talking to Viking. And now here's an interesting piece, is that the Picts and the Vikings blended together at some point. And this is what I learned and I discovered from my friend David. And he said that, this is, as time went on, they seemed to come together. So, I wasn't planning this, but, I did invite Viking on prior to knowing any of that information. So I figure this is a happy blend. It's something that was intended to be.
I was going to say, the village that has the Pictish fort is also inhabited by some very tall redheads, it was quite I imagine that it was quite a place for people to gather, as a harbour, and where trading and things happen. So it's very likely that the Picts and the Vikings would have crossed over. If not, they're the same people. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think they're the same people, but when we do the transmission, we'll get further into the understanding and the description of it. So we're going to have, I do feel I have an idea of where they originated from. And, here again, this is not my culture. I want to be sensitive to this. I'm not originally from Scotland, and I don't want to offend anyone in any way. But, not that maybe some people just might think it's silly or not fully, comprehend it, or it's not even important. But to say that they're from off-world is actually stretching it for some people. But those that listen to our network, this is a regular everyday conversation. So there is, we can look at the history, and then I will tell you what I believe had occurred, and if necessary, I could even bring other people. That when we did an investigation, we did it with actually a group of people, and I'm not mentioning their names at this time, but I will. If there is further discussion, people would like to understand more. And then I'll bring in the others if they're willing to be open and share more about what they experienced. And we're talking about a handful of people, not just like one or two. And many of them got involved because of a crisis that occurs during this transmission, and you will understand further. So, why don't we get into that? And also, thank you so much for creating a jingle for this being that I'm referring to as Baylord. It's B-A-E, Lord. Now, I don't know if that word Bay means anything. JP, is that? I know that it reminded me of Beowulf or something like that.
Sorry, I'm coming over all sleepy. It sounds that sort of ilk, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and when he said Lord, it wasn't like he wanted to be worshipped, but it might have been a term like a landlord or someone that was over a space, as opposed to there was nothing pompous or arrogant. If anything, he was there to hands-on in assisting the problem that was at hand.
A very swift Google leads us to Lord Bay as a Pinterest.
Really?
Yeah, go to Pinterest now. Peter Baelish, Lord Bay, Game of Thrones. Oh, normally the word Bay causes involuntary. Oh, no, it doesn't.
Lord Bay.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones?
So it's a Game of Thrones era type medieval thing about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. So, we're finding many things. And also there's a character in here that we actually found, too, in the United States that has the same name. So, interesting.
So, shall we run the jingle and hit the transmission?
Yeah, and enter Baylord. It all began with a phone call from the hospital. My friend, a fellow light worker for the plant, was very ill and suffering from respiratory issues. And so she had called for help. There she was, surrounded by 5 hospital workers trying to assist her breath. And they put a respiratory mask on her face. At that moment, anxiety set in, and she was feeling very uncomfortable with the mask. And suddenly she realized that she was experiencing what we call a trigger, and that the mask was bringing back a memory of something that was very, very uncomfortable and scary and unsettling. And so she contacted me to assist her in locating the origin of this memory trigger, and of course the anxiety that came along with it regarding the mask. So here is what I saw. I allowed my soul to step into the space and to follow whatever it was that was troubling her, and I flew to the 16th parallel of Earth, where I saw a female laying on the ground, wearing a charcoal-colored mask, and a red, semi-transparent lenses were there where the eyes were located. This woman had medium brown hair, similar to what she had, and she was small and frail. Beside her stood a man who could see me. He had a round face, white skin, and bald. His eyes had black ash around them, giving him a very tribal appearance, and was wearing tribal-looking clothing.
What are you doing here? We need your help.
I can see you, and I didn't know you could see me. Who are you? And that woman, I believe she is my friend. And where am I right now?
This is Pick Uni, we call her. She goes into small places for us if we need help. I was against it. The conditions are too hard for her, and yet she is persistent. My name is Baylord.
What is going on here? And why is she wearing a gas mask?
Not long ago, we had an invader on this planet. We call him Leonard Kroon, although that is not his true name. He went into the planet and built a system where the natural gas was sent upward to the surface of the planet, and then he ignited it. Some of us are immortals, but the flame makes us very uncomfortable and angry. I swore that I would destroy Leonard Kroon if I find him. For now, we need your help to shut down the pipes bringing the gas up to the surface.
I followed him to an open shaft that was circular and built with bricks. Red bricks. The tunnel seemed to flow endlessly downward, and we continued downward until I found the gas line, shut off the feed, and capped it off while removing the pipes it was connected to. We continued our work until we got to the fourth and last tunnel. When we got to the bottom, we could see a recessed area where someone seemed to be trapped. I recognized him right away as Phaeton. We went down a bit further and shut everything down. The surface also shut down because there was nothing further to fuel the flame. Baylord then lifted Phaeton out of the hole, and we all ascended up and out to see the upper levels normalize. The next challenge was to get the people into the 8th parallel where they could recover. That is where they were taking Picayune or Pick. Then I began to think a little bit more about this. Baylord, are these people we refer to as the Picts from Scotland? Did they enter into our parallel Earth and live amongst us for a while?
That is correct. They wanted to live amongst the people and grew fond of them. Those who challenged them were also in for a surprise. They are a vigilant bunch and can outlast or survive beyond all odds. They also have the ability to exist in parallels if they're ambushed. Or exit into parallels if they're ambushed. Nothing can take them down. They are protectors of the parallels, and yet we had a very evil invader who tried to hurt them. I will seek him out and destroy him.
I will do what I can to help you find him. He sounds like a tall white as we know him. Picayune saw him wearing black and white. I saw him as one of the white demons. We will find Leonard Crumb and remove him from all realities, if that is his purpose to torture and harm others. We went into a mission that was not impossible and identified an African desert that was connected to Tiamat. Then I began to consider that the Picts were originally the giants of Tiamat who made themselves smaller in scale, but compact in power. Is this true, Baylord? Were the ancient Picts from Tiamat?
Yes, this is true. It was their journey to be here before humanity arrived. The journeyman has spoken. The journeyman has spoken.
Tell me, Baylord, what will become of the Picts and their connection to humanity in the future?
They are to return and connect with their souls on Earth today. Many will reconnect and awaken to who they once were and are. They are here to help you and others prepared to make change on Earth.
We discovered Leonard Crumb in Oregon. This is the man that you told us was your problem, the man that you knew it wasn't his true name. but we found him in Oregon, in our timeline here in the United States. Whether it is him or not, he entered there in the path back.
He was there, but gonna be elusive. Don't give up until all aspects of him are rooted out, or else humanity will suffer the fate of the 16th dimension.
It appears it had already begun on our planet with all of the fracking.
Don't let him lie to you. He's here to ignite your planet or any others. That's why I came to you, to show you how he moves and acts. It may look like me, but it's not me. He is the fire starter. It was a warning. I projected this image into this man to sing this song and others. The apocalypse they will not get to see. It is them who will return the fate instead. It is them who will receive that fate instead.
You're referring to the song from Prodigy, Firestarter. Is this Dionysus, the white demon, also known as Leonard Crumb?
Yes, but don't give up until you root him out completely. Then your planet will be safe again.
My friend Pick told me the gas line was opened up near her where she lives today on Earth. Is this all connected?
There's nothing separate. Where there is a problem on a parallel, all timelines and dimensions are affected by it. This is why many are awakening to correct and change things back to their proper reset.
So I'm here to help those awaken to who they are, to remember that they are here for not only themselves, but for many others. So I'm just curious. The Sweno stone was brought to my attention that it is still in Forres, Scotland. I might add also that my friend refers to herself as Swelo at times. The name is quite similar. Was this battle here, as depicted on the stone or in the parallels?
It is both on your planet and off. In Parallel 6, notice the men turned sideways, stepping out horizontally in time. They left an earmark for you. Some chose to stay and mix with the Titan Vikings, an extension of their family. I will be back to share more with you in time. The battle is just beginning, not ending. We must undo many things. I will continue to stand watch over the many parallels of time.
Then Baylor stood strong, holding a tall wooden staff, and stared off into the horizon.
Okay, so this is getting really close to home. Forres is where I live, right? You know that.
Oh, no, no.
I see the Sweno stone when I come in by bus to Forres.
Oh no.
Yeah. So this area, so I was more or less correct, some chose to stay and mix with the Vikings, an extension of their family. And there's Forres and Sweno stone. Yes, it's bloody big. It's a good 5 meters tall for an old bit of rock. I mean, it's long and thin and tall, and they have it in a huge glass case to protect it from the elements, all illuminated at night.
So you know what I'm talking about, where you look at the stone and there's the group of men that are turned sideways.
Now that also reminds me of
left.
Egypt, where they have this funny perspective. Perhaps that's also what that means, that they're not completely in this dimension. I don't know. Or maybe it's just an ancient style of how you carve on rock. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, that's what he pointed out, and that's the first thing that I saw when I looked at the stone as well. Yeah. Found 1 foot here, 1 foot elsewhere.
Yeah. So, Leonard Crumb. I read it as Krum, like a German name. Mm-hmm. But you've come across him? Is he something to do with fracking? Is he part of an oil company or something?
I don't think so. I don't think so. He played off like a regular citizen. The name, which I thought was really strange that he gave me that specific name. It was just, you would think it would be more like tribal like his.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was more of like an American name. And I was trying to figure out, where I saw that there was a movie about, I think with John Candy. That has the name something crown.
All right. Hang on, let's just Google that while we're here.
Google that.
Yeah.
And this is the way it works. It's almost like a big riddle, and before you know it, we're looking at something. And I think there was, I don't know if there was like a military base in that area that we were looking at. I can't remember, but I do know. The first place that we looked at in Africa, it had like a circular space, and it was definitely unnatural, and it was in the desert. And so, it looked like an ancient entry point from Tiamat. That's what we were told, and that's how you pick up and observe a space that goes into the parallel. That specific 16 parallel came from there.
So there's lots of parallel things going on there.
This is all about parallels. Yeah, I mean, it was something that it all started with my friend having to go to the hospital on emergency, and it was the trigger of that specific memory that opened up all of this. And so it's our trail. I went into the trail of the history of whatever the emotion or trigger was in her Akasha. Does that make sense?
That's very interesting. So, now this character, Swilo, I've heard this name. We did one show with this.
It's the same woman.
Right.
Yeah. Swilo the dragon.
I'm sure I've heard it in somebody else's reading, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a name I've seen as well elsewhere, but this is the name that she had. And it's interesting enough, it's Swano, right?
Swano and Swilo.
Almost. Yeah. Kind of everything's a little earmarked there. There's a little note here and there.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that's Prodigy song. All right, so imagine this devastating visual of this planet, and it's just like on fire. And if you observe the video, it's kind of a tunnel.
But wasn't
and the guy from Prodigy has that like black around his eyes, similar. And it looks very tribal, which I mean I don't understand the United States flag that he's wearing, other than if he is actually Crumb, then he would be in the U.S.
So, interestingly, last night, wasn't Max talking about this gas that these beings emanate coming up from the ground? And there you were talking about the ground and fire coming up. Do you remember that? Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah, because he was talking about a bunch of different things, but it gets into like a mass consciousness, and then some people pick it up from different perspectives, I guess. I don't know if we're talking about the same thing, but this is, to me, it looked pretty evident that it's very similar to the process of fracking, and how people were able to light up water. I guess, their water was so full of the natural gas that they went and lit a match around it and they saw it.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. You can see that on YouTube.
Yeah. So imagine there are, that amount of natural gas coming up and it's not plugged or capped off. That'd be easy to make, just this big flame. Yeah. And I think that's what they did. They had it at different points and junctures throughout the planet, and then they just lit a match. And so, fortunately, a lot of them were, what we would identify as immortals, where they weren't, fully affected by the flame, other than somehow it affected their respiratory. And some were, weaker, and some were stronger, whereas Baylord was unaffected by it, other than he was enraged. And when he saw me, he was grateful that we could communicate. But I'll be honest with you, it sort of looks a little bit like Andronicus. But he does say something about journey in there.
So maybe he's another journeyman from the same sort of stable, as it were.
Yeah, either that or it is Andronicus, but doesn't remember me from that point.
And of course, a lot of the people that you do talk to do turn out to be the same people, because these are the people that you talk to, if you see what I mean. It's like circular, but like they're all, they always turn out to be friends or friends of friends,
Yeah, it's like we seem to be on the same frequency, and that information that is coming up is they just in a different time and place, but they definitely exist. And we just come in and connect again. We continue to reconnect. So I got this information. Let's see if I can bring it up. And some history about all of this. And let's see, there it is. Okay, so my friend David sent me, and you could probably, confirm, it's just general history about the area. Let's see.
He's probably going to mention my cottage.
The name picked was given to these nomadic tribes here in Caledonia.
Caledonia.
The name for Scotland, I guess, the Roman name for Scotland.
Yeah.
They were iron ore and metal workers, mainly, and inhabited the area we know as Scotland, but also extended into what's known now England as well. Their last great king was Malcolm Canmore.
Malcolm.
And he spent
Oh, bless.
and he spent lots of time killing other Pictish kings and overlords, as well as anyone else on the scene, as the Picts were fierce warriors. Canmore met with St. Columba, a bad guy, in my opinion, who came to Scotland from Ireland to spread Christianity. At this meeting near Inverness were several other Pictish kings, including King Brud from the Orkney Isles, immediately north of the Scottish mainland, given to us by the Norwegian king Christian, the Scottish king James, and the third married a Norwegian king's daughter. It is thought that the Picts, who had many kings, also married into European royalty, notably in the lands which collectively later became Germany. This has big implications for the UK royalty, as they are German on both sides. Saxe-Coburg, Gotha on the Queen's Gotha,
yeah.
Queen's side, and Sonderburg, Glucksburg, King Lizard side. He said, interesting stuff here. Thanks again for allowing me to take part in your work, so forth and so forth. So, let's see. All right. So, anything you want to add to that, or
well, just to say that this area,
that they were
this area is quite famous in many ways. I mean, there's Inverness. Inver means river, so it's the mouth of the River Ness, which is the river that comes out of Loch Ness. You see, all the Nesses. So Loch Ness is Inverness, essentially. It's just next door. So we got all that business going on, Aleister Crowley and the Loch Ness Monster and blah, 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 blah. Just, if you come from Inverness towards me, we have, on the right, on the south side is, Cawdor, which is the place of, Macbeth, the Thane of Cawdor. So there's a lot of history around that. And then, of course, we come up to the Swano Stone, as you say, and the Pictish site in Berghead, which is, so if I'm standing outside my house, I look north, I see Berghead, and that's where that's the Pictish fort and where all the Vikings live. If I look to my left, I see Forres and the location of Sweno Stone. Forres was also a huge Roman complex, enormous, like a small walled town.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on there. And then just down the road further, about another 45, 50 miles is Balmoral Castle. And we all know who lives there.
Who? I don't.
Sorry, the Queen Liz. It's her
Oh, okay.
Scottish. That was my lizard impression. I don't know.
Oh, okay. It scared me. Yeah.
Yeah, my husband and I. Yeah. Anyway, so that's so that's the local area around here. It's pretty historic.
So if the Pictish people are what I believe, they're parallel jumpers.
Mm-hmm.
Then I mean they were jumping from the dimension or the parallel of 16. I saw them on 12. I saw them on 8, 9, and also on 3. And I think even at one point I saw them on 2. But this Crumb had interfered with 4 other different parallels and did the same thing, or was about to do the same thing. The fire starter method. The pulling the gas from the earth. So the earth is essentially the same, right, in each one of these parallels. So it has the same components, and he just kept replicating this method and then thinking to bring it here. Leonard Crumb, which I believe is Dionysus.
Who is one of our favorite tricksters.
And a bad one at that. And I don't know if you remember, even Meetis said, I stay away from the white demons. And, they're not a pleasant bunch. I don't know if he had cloned himself or what he did, but there's more than one of them.
And so, who's gonna be going around collecting them?
I think, we've had a group of people already looking for them and working on it. They look like tall whites. The tall whites are kind of elusive. People know where they're settled here on the planet. It's obvious that, they're out in the Southwest here in the U.S. and at Dulce. But we don't know where their origin is, the planet. We're looking around. Obviously they've asserted themselves as the Fourth Reich. I mean, they just have different titles and names. So, at one point they could be, having some kind of dramatic something there. And another point they could have like a whole other expression. And you wouldn't even notice it. You wouldn't notice the difference. They're very extremely elusive. And clearly have their agenda is to clear the planet, obviously, which, could kind of be, in alignment with the Georgia Guidestones and all that other stuff. They just want their open space. They see us as a food source. That's if we're talking specifically of the tall whites, and if in fact Dionysus is one of them, or this white demon species are separate. I'm trying to see if there's a difference. I don't know fully, but it seems like they did kind of integrate. The Picts integrated into these other groups here, and then maybe that they wanting to destroy the Picts could have then also jumped in and created the problems where we have, like the reptilian energies coming in, or tall whites maybe as well. We don't know. They could have multiple forms. So until I know fully, I don't want to say. But when I do know, and I'll be positive, and I will say what it is.
Good.
So.
Good. So, should we play some Prodigy? Since
yeah, it's a good time to play Prodigy. Yeah, and for many to just it's a harsh type of music, so some people are gonna love it, and some people are gonna say, yeah, I remember that song. You can take a look at the video. It's a little scary and disturbing, but, I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but some people may. So just, just a little warning.
You may want to turn it down. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like we're back.
That was a sudden ending.
Yeah, it was. As they do.
Mm-hmm.
So, alright, we're gonna, that was a little wake up, smell your coffee.
Certainly does, yeah. Sort of, like a head cleaner, like a bottle brush kind of head cleaner.
Yeah. It's like the yellow, hello, good morning.
Yeah.
Alright, so, we're gonna go into something a little bit more, calm and gentle. And, like I said, some people are okay with this. I'll tell you what, there is a lot of repressed anger that, many of us that love the environment, feel at times. And that's when people mess around with the planet and do terrible things. And when people feel oppressed or whatever, and we need some way to vent. The whole idea of someone actually thinking of burning our planet is not a very, very comfortable feeling to me. And I'll tell you, I did have some moments of anger when I started to realize what was going on here. So, grateful for the pics, and hope to keep connected to Baylord to see if we can stop whatever is going on here. And let's continue on to show you something else that's going on out there. Let's begin with Andronicus. And if you remember from last week, Andronicus was building a planet, and he didn't really explain why. So we're going to get into a little bit more of what this is about and how it is connected to us in some way.
I'm nearly finished with my planet that I have referred to as 9-star Furio Ellipto. I don't know what else to call it. Yet, though it lists all the members of my tones, my virtuoso of sight and sound, I am so unfulfilled.
Andronicus, you're in a strange-looking geometric shape, just floating in there.
Yes, I'm recovering a bit, trying to calm my mind. I haven't spoken to many besides you. It is lovely to speak to you, but I miss the communication of many. I feel too isolated and lonely without anyone here to share this with. I want it to be shared amongst many. I want the gates to open and the laughter and smiles to enter. I want the young and old to feel at home, the peaceful sojourner to also see this as a refuge. I have so many ideas and wonderment of possible experiences of interaction. I might add that I didn't create this exclusively for humans. Many others will join in this space. That is starseeds from all over. Do you realize how many hybrid humans there are now? This is what links you to the future of civilizations beyond your world, as you have not yet fully explored.
Why is this so important to you, Andronicus?
Sometimes we need to make a significant mark or expression that others can benefit by. I almost grew sad and self-loathing before you came. You did lift me quite a bit. You have the sunshine in your eyes, I see. Soon I will open the gates and welcome the hybrids in first. This is their planet first. These are the ones suffering the most, the hybrids. They don't know where they belong and are often rejected by all species. I want to change this. They have often been the orphans and rebels in the galaxy. That won't be the issue for long. Soon it will begin a new time and era for them. Humanity will not feel the ill effects of their rejections and aggressions. All will be more at peace. I can't say how long it will take to bring them here, but I just got the information from Vega that we can now move forward. By the way, this transition was written many light years before. The quest of humanity now lives on and can be supported by your flourishing and happy hybrid children. The quest of humanity now lives on and can be supported by your flourishing and happy hybrid children. Here, Suma, look at how they sustain one another. Look through the metal ball of the future and watch what happens.
they become our protectors when they are happy, loved, and balanced.
That's correct.
But if they're not happy and loved, they become a problem.
That's correct. And also we're searching for those who will be here to help to nurture and help them grow and feel loved. You can be a parent or not. It is not required. Just offer an aspect of yourself to be there, to show them love. That's all.
I would like to be there to help them.
Oh, I was hoping you would say that. This can be arranged. Of course, you will still have a strong presence on Earth while you do this. It is similar, but not as intense as when you stayed with Mars for a while. Take the codes I give you, and it will help you enter in. Soon the color green will appear, and then purple. This is the transport vehicle. We are counting down. 7, solar star, 7, 8, 8, 8, 9 sentient lights. There. The gate is now open.
So,
Another mission for another piece of you.
Well, when he started to explain that there were all these hybrid children and many of them didn't feel love, they were kind of pushed away, rejected, actually they were accosted or maybe had violent experiences with humanity, and that they need to be brought to a place where they're not going to be harmed. And of course the parents of these hybrid children are welcome to check in with them, but many of them are rejected. And so he said that they would be our protectors in the future if they're cared for the proper way, and they would help us to bridge into the other civilizations, so the other star seeds that they were actually connected with. And now some people say, well, I don't want anyone that's connected to the Greys or whatever. Well, it's too late. They already exist now. So what are we going to do? They're part of us. I don't know. Maybe I have my own philosophy on that, but I can see the wisdom in it, because we don't want, this is where the rogue groups come in when they feel isolated, and we have learned how the Vinkala, or the reptilian, as most people know them, were rejected, and that brought in all of this antisocial, cruel behavior and desensitized to other species. That's just my feeling, and so I volunteered. And I knew that, I've already done this before. I knew that would help to bring me in. But many of us do have hybrid children already. Something to think about.
And, if we're recognizing our Lyran origin, some of our brothers and sisters were taken and hybridized. And we have to now deal with that, as well as the trauma of them being hybridized, they've got parts that are not as comfortable to be around. Let's put it that way.
So, this is a place where all are welcome, right? He calls it 9-star Furio Lipto.
So it's interesting you got Furio in there. It's like you were talking about anger. And there's been a lot bubbling up this week. It's like, it's like anything. Well, particularly, I was very anxious last week when I was flying around, and so it's kind of given way to irritation, which is not good. It's not good energy to be holding, There
has to be a releasement of it, and whether for some it's exercise, for some it's other physical activities.
Dancing is good.
Dancing's good, yep. Sex is good. And there's a lot of different things you can do to release some of that anger. Of course, you don't release it when you're with someone. You don't put that anger in them, but release it out. And meditation's another way to get rid of it. There's just a lot of different ways to release and get rid of some of that energy. And
swearing a lot is good.
Swearing, yeah, having moments of
having a little Tourette's moment is there's nothing wrong with that. Again,
no, there isn't.
As long as there's nobody kind of being, feeling that it's in, they're in the head of the barrel.
Exercise. I mean, what you don't want to do is launch that energy at anyone that you love or care for, and think that they should be the brunt of it. So take that energy, put it where it belongs, release it into the earth, let it transmute, and, find another way to think with clarity and how to resolve whatever is bothering you that moment. And that's one way to deal with it, but yeah, so we want to keep everything, even our galactic friends, without any type of unnecessary anger, because it all does, ripple down and affect everybody.
And also, if you're angry around a telepathic person, that person feels something. Whether they'll start feeling angry at you or just feeling angry and like unfocused. Everybody's field seems to be growing and becoming more apparent. Just for even the non psychics among us, everybody's starting to feel it. Have you noticed in your groups people are more psychically sensitive or anything?
Yes, I have. Actually, I have this amazing story of, I don't know, maybe I'll bring it in at another time, where this insight came in, and it actually was connected to an old song that I heard, and we were just looking at the lyrics of the old song, and it just had kind of a lot of the elements of what she had seen. And it had to do with a prophecy, an old prophecy. But it wasn't in the song as an old prophecy. It was related to what she was seeing as an old prophecy. But then there was a connection there from the song. And I think maybe next time I come back I'll bring that in. But it was it had something to do with that song, I've Been Through the Desert on a Horse with No Name.
Oh, America.
Yeah.
I've been through the desert with a horse and no name, got to be out of the rain.
Yeah.
In the desert you can't remember your name, and there ain't no one to them. Anyway, doodly-doo.
Well, I'll tell you that, that I got permission to share the story. She's a private person. But, I might as well just tell you the story now since we brought it up. So she actually saw the, Kuchinas. She didn't know what they were. She's not native. And she literally saw them up in the stars, and they had like a jacket on, like a big coat. And they opened up the coat, and there were all these stars opened up. And then she saw a horse in the desert. And it was like one thing after another, just matched that. I've been through the desert. I heard the song in my head while she was talking. I looked it up, and we looked at the lyrics. And the impression that I got is, and this is where it becomes a little controversial, is that it was the Hopi prophecy. And I asked the Kuchinas that came through, I said, what are you saying? And they said the prophecy is no longer going to happen. That kind of scary apocalyptic Hopi prophecy is not going to be fulfilled. It's not going to happen because something changed. And then they gave us that song.
That's interesting. Well, that's a real relief because the red Kachina is the known as the destroyer or the cleanser, the great cleanser, and I had a vision of it, 2011.
Wow.
It's a long story, but basically, without explaining how, I got myself a spaceship, my own spaceship, my own Merkaba, traveled into the future with it, and saw this thing, and it looked like, it was really hot. It's like a huge, hot, body. Not quite like a sun, more like a burning planet or something. Just fire all over it. And it passed by Earth, and it was also a magnet. It's like, how can you have a fire and a magnet? I don't know. But anyway, this thing passes by, and I'm hearing in my head iron filings. And I'm seeing tiny little particles going from Earth. And I realized, well, actually, at this scale, that could be an aircraft carrier. Like
wow.
a fragment of iron filings could be the size of an aircraft carrier or whatever. And then I heard the word cleansing.
Right.
This planet passes by. And the story of the Hopi red Kachina is that it cleanses the planet, and that it also causes the planet to rotate in its proper direction. right? That's a really interesting thing to say. It's proper direction, meaning that we're not in the correct direction. It's not rotating. You know, the sun is supposed to actually rise in the west, according to this thing. In the old days, it apparently did. And there was a time, and it was recorded in the Bible, and it was recorded in the South American native histories, that the sun rose in two places. The sun rose twice one day, and in that it was on one side and then it set, and then on another side it set, and then it rose again, as the planet stopped and then turned round.
So this is what the Cucina said, and if you look at this YouTube video, you will see that it has Native American people on it. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, it doesn't actually talk about Native people in the song.
No.
So I thought that was interesting, and I thought maybe we should play the song. We can go over a little bit, and we have Viking is going to have plenty of time to talk, but maybe we should play that song.
Okay, horse.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we haven't got it. That's not the one that's in the thing. Hang on. Did you put a link in there? All right, there we go. There we go. And through the desert.
Yeah.
Well, interesting.
Yeah, that's what they said. They said that the Cucinas told me that it wasn't going to happen.
All right.
So.
Okay, so now I've got I have a multi-stage process to do this. I'll just play this, and just don't make a sound, okay?
Okay.
If you can mute your mic while I play this, then that'd be good, because it's coming on the same channel. And welcome back. And Jess, you can unmute yourself now.
Okay, so.
Sorry about that. Otherwise I'd had to do several different little processes to get it into the thing. It would have taken a few minutes. So, shall we go on to another?
I appreciate your spontaneity in being able to put on music that matches the theme of whatever we're discussing, so.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
Whatever works. So, who next?
Rhodan.
Rhodan. There we go. Let's have number 3. I'm standing here in your South Pacific, observing the vast and widespread waters. How can I say it? We're all here now, and yet unable to communicate freely. I told you many times, have patience. One day we'll be free to return back to our former greetings. Yet the hearts are still cold and unwilling to yield amongst our adversaries. The short time together could amount to many years of warfare. They had learned our vulnerability was our love, not our hate, not our power, not our wealth, nor our domination. None of this could injure us deeper than the quest for love, the love of our families. Humans at one time learned to feel love for one another. Then they forgot what it all meant. I suppose I'm becoming sentimental now. Feelings and emotions are not foreign to us. So many would like us to be without feeling, but this is not our expression. Time is increments of emotion and life experienced, not the other way round. We're not toys to be played with. We're not animated by others. You have all been chosen to express as you will, to feel the breath of the sweet smells of the earth after a summer rain. Why become callous? This is their desire. Stand strong and be true to yourself. Withhold no emotion and never apologize for love in any expression. But always honor one another. Desire not to take from one another. Be grateful for what you have. Have no envy, malice, cruelty or malevolence in your heart. Feel only your life breath and existence, knowing your souls are eternally connected to life, to source, to the sun. That birthed and nurtured you. Be wholesome and grateful for all Be wholesome and grateful for all sustenance. Do be angry at others who have forgotten their divine truths. Allow them to remember. Walk away from cruelty. Don't support what doesn't sing in your heart. Hold your energy for only those things of true value. And drive your own personal truth forward with you. I plant a seed and pick a flower. What I take I replenish always. Remember the many simplicities of life and grow from it. See the flower within you expand and connect to the earth and the stars. You have been separated, but you don't need to be any more. Forever is love, and love is forever. There is nothing more truthful than this. Short but beautiful.
Yeah, a lot of feeling and emotion. And I like some of the quotes that he had: forever is love, love is forever. There's nothing more truthful than this. It's beautiful. And also this one, time is increments of emotion and life experience, not the other way around.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not a clock.
A moment is like a bubble of feeling. To me, when I speak of a moment, it's the space that a feeling takes to occupy. And it's not always like a, sorry, I'm sounding more like a Rhodan rather than myself. But
the energy rubs off on you.
Yeah, no,
times that I could just go on, and I'm like, this is Rhodan or something.
Yeah. Well,
it's beautiful.
It is, it is. But the idea, for me, a moment, when I say there's a moment, it's like a feeling starts. It takes a while for it to unfold, bloom like a flower, and then gradually mature and finish. Like anything, like a concert. It has its, you set up, you got your prep, you got all the rehearsals, and then it happens, and then it's over. It's, there's a lot of energy goes into those moments. And those are times. And he says
that's what's important. It's not the seconds that go by, but actually the moments came first before time then. Instead, we think time existed before those moments that we had feelings about. Which is a whole different way to looking at things, and a whole different, changes your whole perspective in life, just that one statement alone.
Well, I mean, if you want to take it to astrology, right? So then it becomes, each moment is maybe 1 minute of 1 degree, or 1 degree passing. Yeah, 1 degree. I figured it out one day, because, I'm a geek, and I calculate things sometimes. Anyway, so I figured out that there are 864,000 seconds, 8,400 seconds in a day. Divide that by 360, comes to about 4.5 minutes. And I noticed this was a thing. I noticed this 4.5 thing was a thing. It's 9:30, obviously, but, I always called 4.5 minutes a moment, because it's the length of a song, generally. In general, the mood and feeling of a song, if it's longer than 4.5 minutes, feels like it's going on too long. And if it's shorter than 4.5 minutes, it feels like, not enough. It's like, and again, it's another moment thing is, now, okay, I know it sounds really mundane, but a TV show, right? A TV show that is an hour long is a bit much, full hour. But a TV show that is half an hour long feels like not enough. And one that's about 40 to 45 minutes is that, it's satisfying. And that's the same length as an old LP album, and I think there's something to that. I think there's a thing about this period of time, 45 minutes, that it's a moment where where you can express something. You can get a beginning,
like
middle,
an idea.
Yeah.
When you're trying to convey an idea, it usually takes about that time. Maybe not, but if you're really trying to present something to a person and deliver a concept, it doesn't always take hours or half hour. Yeah. Sometimes it's just a couple minutes or 4 minutes.
So there's a lot of shows that contain 45 minutes of content, and then the rest is advert. Otherwise, it feels like there's too much advert or there's not enough content. If that balance isn't right, and I'm sure people have written papers about this stuff, because this is like how to milk your advertising revenue, for instance. You know, you don't want to turn off your listeners with too much advertising, but you don't want to, well, actually, I think they probably ignored that by now, but they probably used to do that sort of stuff in the 80s and 90s with these focus groups. Meanwhile, hang on.
You have Meetis left.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Meanwhile, we have Meetis. There he is. Why does my mouse seem to be jumping? All right, forget it. Here we go. Hello, my lovely. How fare thee, my friend? I had a rare fruit today. It was sweet and delicious. There are times that I feel quite cared for and full of privilege. My heart can be full of sorrow at times. Kindness goes a long way as I live by these rules. A mattress given to a house full of children. A pair of silk socks sold to feed the hungry. Well, these are hard times indeed. Might I share with you a few mysteries of time? A stolen watch, a sacred stone, and broken vessel from Rome. The Celts have so many mysteries hidden here. I often wonder what more there is to share, because I try to avoid these things. It is a harpsichord that cheers me now. The children are dancing and laughing. It warms my soul. I took up my lyre to play and sing. A woman brings out some warm scones and jam. Another had a pot full of root vegetables boiled fresh and cooked as a stew. An old man is tapping his feet. It's jolly fun. There is some cool fresh water from a jug and a bit of ale as well for the rest of us. Entertainers are treated like kings here. There's nothing more valuable than those who calm the sorrows of the soul and lift, or even better, provide laughter to the merry. I trust you understand fully what I am saying. Share your plenty of goodness. Lift from the sorrows by remembering why you are here and stay with it. Don't go off that path at all. You'll find much reward with it. I see the shoeshine boy again, and gave him a piece of scone. He smiled wide and cheerful. Then I sang a song for everyone. It goes a bit like this. I don't know why you had such growth many, many years ago. Your branches grew thin, then the core died within, and now you no longer grow, but stay solid to the ground. I will set upon you. I will see birds fly on you. I will find happiness there before you died to make my chair. You see, all things become new. All have more than one purpose that we knew. We appreciate more if we don't limit what's in store. So to the weary who walk by the woods, you'll find the stump will save your needs, and gave very, very unselfishly for others to get what they need. Before I go, make a difference on this planet as I do. I hope it will encourage many to la 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 la. We are all here to help with what we do.
Excellent.
There is a little one. Yeah.
Yeah, singing about a tree stump.
Well, you know, if you're tired and you've got a backpack and your knees are sore, then a little stump, just because it's dead, doesn't stop serving. That's a lovely little song.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very sweet. And, you know, I think he's very sentimental. There's a lot of hardship around him. He's just trying to help everything and everybody.
You know, there's probably a lot of metaphor in that song now. Lots and lots and lots, you know.
Yeah.
But still it's about a tree stump that he sat down on. Brilliant.
And he was grateful that it kind of repurposing. I was thinking of that.
Yeah.
You know, that even though it was no longer here, it was still sturdy enough to sit on and served another purpose. And it helped the weary traveler as they were moving along and then had a place to rest.
So,
but, you know, and Rhodan says something earlier too about when you take, you're supposed to give back.
yes, planting
You
seeds.
replant. You know, if you pick something or you plant a seed, you pick something, then you're supposed to plant a seed. You know, return. It's kind of the same thing. It's perpetuating this growth.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm sorry I cut you off.
If I go out to the garden, I have potatoes that kind of grow and go off all the time. So I've got lots of seed potatoes. So when I go out to the garden and dig up a bunch of grown potatoes, I put the seeds back in. So, it's an interesting way, because it's, you know, what else do you do with these potatoes that are growing? Well, they're growing. Let them grow. You know, let them grow. We eat them sort of when we grab them while in a certain stage of their growth. Same with cabbages and stuff like that. We grab the plant at a certain place, and that to us is a cabbage, but there's a whole life cycle around that. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meetis influenced my considerations there. Meanwhile, back at, so where do you want to go? Status quo?
Oh, I think we have some music.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we'll connect with Viking.
Okay, so do you want all of the songs?
Two.
Two of them, okay.
Yeah, let me see. We will play. Let me find you here.
Matchstick Men?
Why is it that I...
Since we're talking about trees, what about Matchstick
Yes.
Men?
Yeah, Matchstick Man, yes. So it's Matchstick Men by Status Quo. And Yardbirds Upside Down because of the pics were sideways. Upside down and sideways.
And in honor of Peter's girlfriend. He turned his life literally inside out. Okay.
Yeah.
Pictures of Matchstick Men. It's my head. Hello,
Has a mind of its own.
Hello,
Energy's
everybody.
flowing.
This is Jessica Morocco with JP with the collapsing mic. Maybe I need to tighten that nut up.
I think the first time I did a show with you, you knocked over a whole bunch of stuff.
I keep doing that. I got
It was
all these
awesome.
things.
I said, you know what, this is going to be a fun ride.
This is going to be a fun ride. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm trying
It's not going to be boring, that's for sure. That was a good indication of, how this all...
It's all gonna come out like this. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I don't know if there's a lock in there. How that is. I'm just using a table stand because my regular stand, which is like an angle poise lamp, it's got these two arms on it, has kind of slightly collapsed because it's made of cheap steel and it's just bent. So I need to reinforce it. Before I do that, I'm using a secondary mic. And my studio mic is quite a heavy thing, so, it keeps falling over because of the weight. Okay, so, did you hear that?
Yeah.
There we go. Stay. Okay. Hopefully it will stay for the rest of actually we've done the transmissions, haven't we? So that's alright. So I don't need to do too much. Good. Well, there we go.
No, it's going to be Viking. We just have to bring in Viking.
Alright, we should have done that a few minutes ago, shouldn't we? While we had the music going. God, look how Look how pro this is all. Poor old Viking. He's been sitting there. Now you have to, oh, he's not going to know. So we're probably going to get some, he's good. There you go. You've turned it off, haven't you? Thank you, Viking. But maybe you've muted your mic. There we are.
I'm here.
There you are. Welcome in.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Middle of my harvest and canning season.
Uh-huh.
We got cherry plum jam happening. We got pickles and pickled zucchini, and we're doing a pepper sauce with tomatoes. And
wow.
my garden's full tilt boogie right now.
Fabulous.
That's
Fabulous.
fantastic.
Do you mail all
Sounds
the boxes
good.
of your stuff? That would be so cool. Some of Viking's vegetables.
Yeah, last year I did 400 jars. My goal this year is to do at least 5.
Mm. Fabulous.
Wow. And I remember last year I'd call you and you'd just be cutting. You can hear you cutting on the wooden board. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all hand prepared. No, I really like it. My specialty is pickled zucchini. It's the best.
Yeah, I know. I tasted it. It was really good.
That's right. We took a dozen jars of Shasta that one time.
Yeah, gave it away to people.
Now zucchini,
Awesome.
is that what we call courgette? Or is that what we call aubergine?
It's a summer squash. It comes in many shapes and sizes. The typical zucchini is long and slender and green, and it's a summer squash, not a winter.
All right. So, a marrow. Have you heard of a marrow?
No.
All right. That's a big, it's a kind of it looks like a cucumber family, like a gherkin.
Exactly. I was going to say it's very similar to a cucumber, but it's a squash.
Right. Okay. That's, so yeah, I think we call them, courgettes. I haven't got a chat room. We're pre-recording. So anyway, I might be just completely ignorant here, but, yeah, because there's aubergine, which you I think call eggplant.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there's zucchini, which we call courgette. Just to make it clear for the people here.
Then there's I think you call peppers capsicum, right?
No, we call them sweet pepper, yeah.
Well, in French, I think he's.
Yeah. Oh, the capsicum, it's the Latin name for it, yeah. So what is it? What do you call it? Yeah. There are long peppers. We call them peppers as well.
Okay.
Or sweet pepper, yeah. So there you go. And you've been, do you grow spicy? Have you got a spicy selection?
I do. I throw them in, I throw the peppers in with the,
you're a bit of a chili man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got, all the way from the Trinidad Scorpion to the Anaheim.
Whoa.
See?
I do about,
That just scares the hell out of me. I can't even imagine how hot that is.
yeah, it's the hottest pepper on the planet.
And you had to have it in your garden.
Well, yeah, I just have one plant though. I'm not focusing on that. My favorite though, it's the Thai chili pepper. It has a lot of heat. It's small. And I throw them in with my pickles, so it gives them a little bit of a kick.
Nice.
Isn't there a Mexican pepper that's supposed to be pretty, it has a real kick to it?
With a jalapeno.
There's a little tiny red one.
It's the
It's dry.
habanero.
Is that what it is?
Habanero, that's right.
Habanero, yeah.
Yeah, because a jalapeno is quite...
That thing will make you cry.
Yeah.
You will definitely cry with that.
Yeah. I remember it's like somebody taking an ice pick and thrusting it up into the upper part of your palate. But like, it's the ding ding ding. It's got this frequency to it. It's like boom 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 boom. It doesn't go zzz. Boom, boom, boom.
Like a dentist.
Yeah.
It's nasty. I was in New York one time and I ate at this Thai restaurant, just south of the Garden, and they had these little teeny jar of these little teeny peppers, and I said, well, what harm could these do, right? And I ate one. Mm-hmm. I ate one. I mean, completely ate one, and it was horrible. I had a glass of ice water, and as long as I was irrigating my mouth, it took 4 glasses of ice water.
No, from my experience, it's bread. Bread will kind of get rid of some of that heat.
Yeah, but
water just puts it down your throat, and so now your throat's burning too.
Well, what I did by irrigating is I sucked it in and I blew it out. I sucked it in and blew it out. I irrigated.
Oh, okay.
And it took 4 glasses. I mean, it took about 20 minutes, but it was horrible.
So
we're still live on air, right? We're having this.
We are live on air.
Yeah.
Are you going to do that? Would you do that one again, Viking? Knowing what it, having remembered that it does that, would you like?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I have seen people do it out of dares and bets. Can you eat all these peppers? I'll give you this. I'll give you money. And I've seen people do it, and I'll tell you, they just about fall to the floor. I mean, some of these peppers are so brutal that they get tears running down their face. They look like they're going to have a heart attack. Their face turns all red. It's unbelievable.
I had a guy, he ate one of my peppers out of my jars, and he was next to me in the truck. And he turned white. He started sweating. And I had to literally ask him, who's the president of the United States? What day is it? Because he was going into shock.
I know. That's so strange. I've heard people say I think something's wrong with my heart right now. I can't handle it. Oh yeah, it's horrible. And yet we still gravitate toward it just because we can.
So now when I test a pepper, I just shoot a little teeny tip, off just to see what the fire is like. That's how I test it.
Yeah, we're on a real fire theme today. So we went from the Picts to the Vikings today, Viking.
Wow.
Yeah, I have this theory. If you look at the planet, look at all the continents and all the planets, and you've got 90% of the planet is dark-haired, dark-eyed. And if you really look at the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, they're up in Siberian, Nordic, northern climate. They're up around the northern ice cap. You've got Sweden, Norway, northern Russia, Siberia, all the way to Iceland, and then you've got this very small pocket of green-eyed, red-haired, people, with the Pikes, I guess Scottish, Irish. And I've always thought that we're implants. We definitely came here as a colony and colonized this planet, and that's the way I feel. So as far as the Viking and the Pikes, we did align ourselves. They were excellent mercenaries, and so we would be we would navigate the boats. The Vikings would be the navigators, and the Marines. The Marines now is all about the mariners. Being the mariners, we would usually head out in a 4 to 5 boat contingent. And, we would take on mercenaries, and the Pikes were excellent. And so they would be part of our fighting force.
Yeah. What we were saying about the Picts actually kind of coming together with the Vikings. I thought that was an interesting combination. But from what I was hearing from Baylord, the Picts came from Tiamat, like way before the crash on Tiamat. They actually came here as just, travelers. And then maybe set up these parallels.
And then you have the Vikings who are Titans from Titan, right?
From Titania. But not Titania on Jupiter. It's another planet. It's elsewhere. As I saw it, and it didn't look like it was just on Jupiter. It was its own place.
Isn't that this thing,
the Tiamat is another location, it's another planet, but they're similar to the Titans. They're very large giants, and they're the ones that they found in these stasis chambers on this planet. But before that, the ones that were on the stasis chambers came here. I don't know if they came here because of the crash, and they said that they actually traveled over here by our moon. This was their moon, not ours. And then they jumped over here to Earth and settled. And some of them believe that they settled here long before a humanity even existed on this planet. And so, kind of navigating this whole space, being very large, but somehow they made, if this is true, that they were from Tiamat originally, then they made themselves much smaller. The Picts. and it could be density or whatever was going on in the process of their experimentation and journeys to see how it all evolved. But I didn't realize I was going to be stumbling on this information, but sometimes you connect with people and they ask you to help you with something, and before you know it, you start looking at their story. And one never knows where their story is going to take you. But I do think that Tiamat and the Titans are connected.
Well, you're talking about having a size adjustment. I mean, the Vikings, the Titans were what? They were giants, right?
Yes.
And then they basically created, we were the end result of this race of Vikings. So in the average Viking is probably 6'2". We go 6 foot to 6'8". So, we also had a height reduction.
Yeah. Maybe it has something to do with the planet, and maybe there was a shift in the density level. Maybe if we weren't 3D, maybe it was more 4 or 5D before, and then it dropped down. Because the gates are still here to bring us back up to 5D. So maybe we were already in 5D and then it dropped. As opposed to where people think it was just the opposite. It's just an idea.
Yeah, not necessarily 5. It could be 7. It could be 9.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a full spectrum there.
Yeah. But, I think the point is that, maybe it wasn't always 3D here. Maybe it was much higher and somehow it dropped.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So the planet itself, lowered its density. Because it is now ramping back up again. The planet itself is ramping up. Well, they say it's already at 5D, and ramping up to 7D as we speak. But we're trying to catch up here. But again, what I want to talk about today is the stages, because it is about staging. It's a staging arena.
Well,
where
the reason why I brought it up, Viking, before you get into that, is that was the explanation I thought for the reason why people got smaller who were on the planet in height. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. That makes sense. Because it kind of affected our all the way down to our genetics and our DNA. It's all the way down there, and again, I'm hoping that through this activation, over the next course of these different gates that will be opening in the next 24 to 36 months, that I could actually gain my height back, and because we will be able to start to re-engineer and recalibrate our DNA to any configuration that you wish. People will be able to regenerate, we'll be able to get younger, we'll be able to establish their genetic code, we'll be able to, recalibrate their physical and, their intellectual, their spiritual capacities as we start to move away from this 3D paradigm of holographic illusions that we have been subjugated to and bought into. It is a process. And again, I just want to say that it is a process. This isn't going to happen overnight, because it's kind of like when you're docking a spaceship onto another ship, you have a little corridor that decompresses. You got to go through a decompression. And as you decompress, you acclimate into this new arena of conscious awareness, and then you go through the moves and the rhythms that allow you to, again, sync up to that vibratory frequency. And then once again, it's a whole process. As I had mentioned, it's a hell of a ride, because it's like getting onto a roller coaster. You're going to go up and down and sideways and twists and turns and loops. And this is part of the process of getting through this integration and recalibration. It's going to be cathartic, is what I'm saying. It's only because it is a gateway, and we're now passing through it as we speak.
And we're definitely becoming more open to it. I do believe that those gates were open, and then they were shut down, energetically shut down by the malevolent ETs that didn't want us to ascend, and people would do the work, and they felt like there was just such density here. and those gateways will be open the more and more the space is clearing, and then helping us to just return back up. Like I said earlier, a woman that I know that had these visions with the Kuchinas, and how we felt that things had changed. And that song, Been Through the Desert with a Horse with No Name, is kind of this whole thing of, this is the journey, the whole process of kind of being in this dry and arid place where there's nothing. It's like emptying ourselves of nothing and becoming more open, lighter, releasing ourselves from the cares of the world, releasing ourselves from attachment to things, attachments to people, attachments to constructs, and the way we thought they should be, and allowing ourselves to lift.
Well, that was primarily Rhodan's message today, was to definitely to disentangle and to find your true essence, your heart, your passion, your love, and to listen to the song. I really like that. Listen to the song of the heart. I mean, how more poetic can you get? Because it is the song of the heart that, if we truly can tie into it, is allowing us to be our authentic being. We then start to make decisions, and we start to make our actions are coming from a place of authenticity. We're in the zone where we're not thinking anymore. We are channeling our true sense of self through our heart, through our passion, through our artistry, our magic, our creativity. And this is what really brings us into that 5D state of non-time, because you're not thinking at that point. You're in the zone. You're completely in the presence of this higher light of awareness and understanding that we're all tapping into this galactic framework or paradigm that I like to see it.
Yeah, I agree. And there was a lot of really interesting statements and quotes in there that Rhodan just brought in, and he has a really good way of just encapsulating everything in one sentence, and just saying whatever it is that he needs to say in very few words. It's really magnificent and quite powerful, but it helps us to bring ourselves back to a place where we return or reset into the way that we were intended to be in the beginning, and allowing ourselves to just see the simplicity of life and not get into all of these processes and this and that. It's very, very basic.
And I believe that this is the framework that we all need to revisit, because we're so caught up in the fact that it's 4 and 5D, and that we're in ascension, and there's the event horizon, and things are going to change, and to reset, that even that can be a distraction. It really is about finding, I like to say, one of the most important composures at this point in time, despite the fact that it will be a wild ride, is to find your center, to find your composure, to find your focus, not to get caught up in either spin, whether it's a spin of pain and suffering or there's a spin of the 4 and 5D. Both are spins right now, and they're both distracting. They could be distracting. It's really, as you pointed out, that song of the heart, and being able to really be present to your essence, and then being able to share your love and compassion with those around you that are also in the same, I would say, same resonance. Because again, discernment is critical. You don't want to be trying to invade anybody's space or try to change somebody. It's all about it's all about us. Mm-hmm. It's all about who we are. It's all about, us coming to this point of realization, and then being able to, be front and center and be boots on the ground, and to really tie into this grid of humanity, so we can be, and I really believe the reason why we're moving forward is because for the first time, it's like a third try. This is like, 100,000 years is a cycle here. It's our third try They really want us to make it. And the reason why we are making it is because more people are front and center. For the first time in history, we are becoming more present than we ever have on this planet.
Yeah, I agree. And it is about us. And I think that's, we really miss the boat. We always want someone else to conform to the way we think that they should. And we're really wasting our time. It's really us that needs to be looking at us and making those changes accordingly. And I notice the more personal work that I've done in my life, the less I notice the imperfections of others around me. I find that it's less and less. And I like to continue doing that. And when I find that I'm looking outward and start, picking things apart, and then I think, well, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to reassess my own life and see where I'm going, and draws myself back. But it has to be an intention. It has to be deliberate. It's almost as if we've grown, I don't want to say addicted, but very drawn in by everything that's going on the outside. So we're trained that way. Our culture directs us to look that way, to observe things on the outside, to look at all the details, to observe people's behaviors and mannerisms. And, we do need to assess certain things in order for us to be able to communicate properly, for us to operate in this construct. But ultimately, everything that goes on in the inside of us should have much more of an emphasis and level of importance than what we're putting on the outside. And that shifts everything.
You hit on a really profound point here, Jessica, that you can't really, if you look at a relationship, this is how we define ourselves. This is how we grow. This is how we learn. This is where we experience the contrast through these various dimensions. Every expression that we perform is love, whether it's a perverted form of love or a true form of love or love that is reflecting our essence in non-time. It's all about relationship. And if you're sitting there in a relationship and you're judging somebody, you're judging yourself because it's a reflection. It's a vicarious trap that you've got to be aware of, because when you look at it, we're all damaged goods. We all have PTSD. We're all coming from pain and suffering. How can you expect anybody to be any different? Mm-hmm. The only difference is that they may be, reactive in your life, but you're the one, it's one half and one half never make a whole, man. And if you're reacting, then you're reacting, and that's your part in this dysfunctional codependent relationship. And it could be in any form. It could be in any form. It could be even with different arenas in your life. That it could be work. It could be your addictions. Point being is that everybody's doing the best they can, and we all, so some of us know not what we do because we're predicated by this dysfunctional baton of our lineage in our heritage that's been passed down and through these karmic spins, and we're still, people are still caught up in this. So rather than dump on them and be negative, you got to really back up and be more compassionate. And as you do this, you start to heal the compassion within, because you are then projecting and reflecting compassion. They know not what they do. Until they start to come to some realization and they move forward. But the people that aren't, you can't really judge them, because then you're still judging yourself. And you mentioned that the more you move forward, you lose this judgment. Well, that's profound.
Yeah. And it's just like the whole process of learning. We're here to learn, and we are learning. We've learned a lot from others. We are learning from ourselves. And there's no other way around it, but, it's just a part of it. So enjoy it. And as Rhodan said, the emotions are the way to gauge time. Enjoy take that time and have it go towards in a direction that makes you feel the best. So whatever makes you feel good, whatever is in a lot more alignment with your truth, then follow that. Stop going by the beat of someone else's drum. Find your own inner truth, your own individuality. I'm positive the world will be a better place because everyone will be where they're supposed to be in the first place.
It's a tough one because we have kind of alienated our hearts because of the pain and suffering that it has brought to us. The abuse, being stabbed in the back, being betrayed, being lied to, being subjugated to physical, emotional, and sexual abuse has really caused us to shut the heart down. And this is exactly where the emotions are fettered. They're in this chakra. The heart chakra is where we come from if we're really expressing from our compassion. So it is kind of a new lesson for us to start to shut down the mind and the mind's karmic spin and all that PTSD and that abuse, that mind control and AI, and to finally come from a place of accepting who we are. Because for me, it's constantly getting simpler and simpler. These constructs are dissolving. These timelines are collapsing. All I want to do is go garden, share my food, dance in the moonlight, and just be in magic. It gets more simple without judgment. This is all I ask of my brethren is to view me without judgment, and then we have a chance to evolve together.
Right. We all should honor each other in that way. And remember, the body is not us. It's an expression of us. And it houses our soul and our spirit, but we all have our own individuality. We have our own expression. And as some people are expressing in all different ways, I know I have my way of expression and the way I present myself as well as others do. And it's all good. It's all good. I mean, we're not supposed to be carbon copies of everyone. We're not supposed to be looking at magazines with someone telling us how we're supposed to look. We should have our own way, expression, and idea of being. And, follow through with that. So I want to ask you, Viking, you wanted to talk specifically about the Lion's Gate, or was something in particular that was on your heart? And we do have, some time left. I want to see if you had some thoughts and ideas along those lines.
Yeah, basically, I just want to share this understanding that I have that the Lion's Gate is an active portal that will be opening up here. Actually, it's already opening up. It's not like it opens up on gates, but we have like a 2-week window prior and after, and it's an activation. I mean, you're literally going to be shaken awake in some cases, or brought to arenas of your life that you haven't quite faced and needs to be taken care of. This is a time of recalibration and resolution and resolving and finding forgiveness and entering that place, that safe space of non-judgment that we're all so desperately seeking. But it is designed for us to, as I said, it's that chamber before we enter into the next phase. And there's going to be stages. It's like a salmon walk. It's definitely like a salmon walk. We have to get into this in the next period of time. And then we go through our experiences, and we go through our life, and we go through the changes that are coming about, and we acclimate. And then there'll be another gate, and there'll be another gate until finally it'll take us into, it'll anchor us into 5D. But, it's also a thinning process because not everybody's going to make it. They're going to start bailing out, and that's okay. It's okay. You just got to stay true to who you are. And then the culmination, of course, of the Lion's Gate will be the eclipse on the 21st, the Leo new moon, and that will be really an arena that I have no idea. I can't see past it. It's just going to be so profound. I just want people to just be prepared that this is a time of really nurturing and finding your center, stepping back and just being true to heart and be with loved ones and really try to find your safe space, that you can navigate, what's going to be coming, here in 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, we've seen eclipses before. What do you feel? How is this any different? I mean, there was, I think, was it last year or the year before, we had multiple. I forget which year that was, but there was multiple eclipses that happened and multiple blue moons, and there's been, a lot of, different things that have happened. What is your idea about, how this is different?
Well, it's in this portal for one, and it's culminating this lionsgate, but it's also transversing the United States. So we haven't had one transverse the United States in quite a long time, where it's directly going to be, totally covered as it goes across the United States. And this is going to have a direct effect on us. It'll have a direct effect on our psychic and material and emotional composure. It's going to have tremendous effects. I mean, beyond anything that that we can even comprehend. I've been saying this for a year, that in this transition, in this new phase of understanding and awareness, we are going to be going into a consciousness that's beyond anything that we can comprehend. Best not to try to, because you're comprehending a 3D reality, and it's still going to be an illusion. It's best to let go. And as I said, it's all about surrender. It's just surrendering to all that you think you know and have been accustomed to, and to try to find your core essence, because it's like learning a new dance and learning a new riff on your guitar, or learning you have to literally find this place where it is beginning anew. And whatever that means for you, you have to find it, because it's going to be that intense.
Well, that's exciting, and then so we can look forward to it on the 21st of this month. And, there's always something, there's shifts and changes that are going on constantly, and people will say, wow, I really had a weird day today. I don't know what it was, and you find out about 5 other people say the same thing. We are definitely in a forward momentum of change. And when I say forward, I mean positive. So, as many things, maybe about a year ago, we were kind of hedging on, it was a terrible event here or there. And then suddenly now it sort of came to a neutral point. But I'm feeling it's more powerful moving forward. Now there's still the doom and gloom and other things, which are a reflection on how individuals are too. They go up and down, fluctuate in their emotions. But as a collective group, we need to stay positive. Keep the timeline moving in a positive forward motion. And let's stay with that. I know that I did talk to Aldebaran, and there's some questions about that, but there was something about 4 timelines that we're on right now. I thought that was interesting. I'm going to explore that more. I will not be here next week and the week after, taking a break. And although the whole group will be with me, I'm sure, and Andronicus, Rhodan, and so forth. But I want you to continue listening to these transmissions. I will be back with a show after that. This will be a pre-record for some of you on Monday. And thank you. I want to say thank you, Viking, for joining us today, and thank you for sharing that information. So they'll hear this. Those who didn't hear it today will hear it on Monday. And I will be with you soon.
Thank you, Jessica, and until next time.
Thank you, Viking.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you, JP. Wonderful job today with the picks.
Thank you.